Welcome, everyone. It's Tuesday, and that means it's time for the Toxin Tuesday Talk Show featuring Kathi McCarty of Meth Toxins Awareness Alliance. And of course, I'm your host, Denise O'Malley of You Define Wellness. We're so delighted to have you with us today. We've got a great show lined up for you. And Kathi, I am so glad that you're here. We're both back in the same state again. Well, not quite, are we? But we're both been traveling. And you lined up a terrific guest for us. So would you tell us about Chris?
Yes, it's been a little bit of a journey, and we were actually traveling in the same state at the same time, but we never got a chance to see each other, and that was Arizona. And I am in Southern California right now, visiting family and taking care of some really important opportunities in business. It's great to be here. Thank you, Denise, for orchestrating another show. I did have a phenomenal experience down in Phoenix with some speaker training with some amazing mentors, and I had the honor and the pleasure of meeting our guest today, Chris Tatted Strength Luera. And Chris is an author of the bestseller Beyond the Bars, from Podium. Beyond the Bars, from Prism to the Podium. Oh, I'm not good at this, but there we go. There it is. It's a phenomenal cover. His redemption story from depressed, drug addiction, former gang member to a 3-time world champion athlete and motivational speaker is sure to inspire you and reach for more for your life. Chris is a professional global speaker. He has spoken in 5 U.S. states and 13 countries around the world. And Chris, please help me welcome him. I'm so excited to have you today. Thank you.
Yes, Chris, we're delighted to have you. And I would love to start off with hearing a little bit about your story. Would you mind sharing that with us?
Yes, definitely. Thank you so much to both of you for being here. I'm very honored to be here. Yes, so my story is I'm currently the best-selling author of the book Beyond the Bars, from Prison to the Podium. I have 3 world championships on my belt in calisthenics, but things were not always in the limelight and in such good places. My life started off pretty much in a rough position where both of my biological parents were heavy drug addicts. Mm. And social services came into my life before I had my life. My biological mother was using drugs during the pregnancy. So the day that I was born, social services came into my life. She tested positive for drugs during the birth. So social services came into my life at that moment, which 2 years later, she overdosed and she died from her addiction. And my father was so heavy in his addiction. He put me up for adoption. He put me in a foster home, which something that I have dealt with over the years. And as now being a father myself now and understanding what it takes to raise a child, I believe that my father did the best thing that he could do, mm-hmm. and gave me the chance to not be attached to their addiction.
That's a rough way to start. I'm the mother of an adopted child as well, the adopted mother of it. And so I understand that while my son didn't have a lot of the same struggles that you did, I do understand a lot of the psychological things that go on with doing it. So that set the stage for your life. You were adopted into what sounded like a loving home. And where did you go from there?
I was very fortunate and blessed to be adopted by my great aunt and uncle. And so they were my family, they're my bloodline, but they became my mother and father. They're all I know as a mother and father. And they provided a loving home for me as a child. Unfortunately, I understood that I came from drugs, and it's a very powerful message to a small child that is developing and trying to find their place in the world, to understand that they come from drugs, that the people that created them had an addiction so great that they could not sidestep it for their child or even for themselves, to the point where it consumed both of them and they lost their lives to their addiction.
So your book, obviously you were behind bars, and how, first of all, there's a whole story there. We need way more than 20 or 30 minutes for this conversation. I can tell you that right now. But was the decision to write about your story the pivotal step of change, or what was it?
So my message is that change is possible. And the thing is that, as I was just saying, as a small child growing up and developing, trying to find my place in the world, I understood that I came from drugs. And I didn't think that I could change the cycle, right? We hear the cycle of an alcoholic parent, that their child finds alcoholism, and so on and so forth, with drugs, with abuse, with so many things that we pick up from our parents, or from our parents' parenting style, or anything like that. And so understanding that I came from drugs, that my parents had such a heavy addiction to drugs, I believe it led me to drugs. I was under the understanding that, I have to be very careful, because since I come from drugs, I'm that much more susceptible to becoming a drug addict. And it's a lot of pressure as a small child to take on, and to think that I'm going to conquer this, right? That I have this huge obstacle set in my way, and that I'm going to conquer it. And so it conquered me, and I fell into the life instead of trying to avoid the life. And then that furthered the idea of change is not possible, that I came from drug addicts, and I was telling myself I should not, I got to be careful. But here I am now, a drug addict, and going in and out of the system. And so that kept me in the same mindset that I was made out of this, and that's why I am this. And I'm very fortunate that my mother, that adopted me, that raised me as her own, never gave up on me, even though I gave up on myself, and I couldn't see that I wasn't that, and that it was the bad decisions that I was making that was putting me into that, not that I was that, period, And so I wanted to tell my mother, thank you. I wanted to tell my mom, thank you for believing in me, even though I didn't believe in me. And even though I'm probably going to die in the same way that my biological parents did, I love you for being the beautiful soul that she was, to believe in me and believe in someone like me that comes from this, that is this, that furthers this. But it was, that was the changing point, was the idea that I wanted to tell her thank you, and that I was grateful that, and I'm sorry for just taking and taking and taking. And so I just wanted to be able to tell her thank you. And the effort towards trying to just get through to her that I am grateful furthered the amount of time that I wasn't on drugs, that I wasn't messing up. And I was able to reach a point of 3 years of, I discharged my parole number. I got off parole, and I got a job, and I elevated in my job. I started off at a catering company, washing dishes. And then I went to waiting tables. And then I went to being a bar back. And then I went and got my bartender's license and started bartending. And so when the day came that my mother passed away from cancer, I had 3 years of doing good. That since the period of time that I started going to jail, I couldn't get nowhere close. I couldn't make it 90 days. Yeah. Since the first time I went in as a child to the last time that I walked out as an adult, I never made it an extension of 90 days without going back in.
Wow.
And so to sit with 3 years out, discharged parole, and it's all because my mother believed in me. She believed that I could do it. And as I sat there while she took her last breath, I understood that I had accumulated 3 years of being good, of giving my number back and not being on drugs or robbing or stealing or doing any of that for her. But it was my actions that was able to do it, but it was her belief in me that gave me the fuel to be able to do it.
Okay, excuse me. I need a hanky. How long have you been sober?
I have not had a drink of alcohol in 11 years, and I am approaching 15 years clean off meth.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Absolutely, congratulations. There's a lot of reasons this is affecting me, so we can talk about some of those after the interview. This isn't about me, it's about you, but you, boy, you're hitting a lot of buttons for me today, as I'm sure you are other people as well. So in the book, talk about the progression in the book, how the types of things that you are bringing out to help encourage people along the way about your story of going from behind the bars to being in front of a podium and talking and sharing your story.
So the belief my mom had in me was so great that she put me in jail half the times that I was there. And then she would come see me the next day and tell me that there is something great waiting for you as long as you're willing to work for it. You have to work for it. You have to be able to be willing to sacrifice, but there's something great waiting for you. And so after my mom passed away, I fell apart. I was doing really good. I had a lot of momentum. I was being elevated in work and everything, like things were going good. But when my mom got sick, when she passed, I lost all my drive. I didn't want to get high, or I didn't want to go back to jail or anything like that, but I honestly didn't care anymore. Mm-hmm. I didn't care if I lived or died. I was very suicidal. I couldn't shake the fact that I only wanted 5 minutes to talk to her. Like I was begging the universe for 5 more minutes to tell her how grateful I am for her. And I had thrown away so many years in prison, years of time, and I'm just begging for 5 minutes. And so I fell apart really bad. And I believe it was my mother that saved me once again, because a neighbor of mine told me about a gym in Long Beach. He's like, "Oh man, it's all covered in graffiti, and it's a real intense kind of gym, and I think you'll vibe there." And I had no desire to work out or anything, but I figured if I went to the gym and threw around heavy items and walked on the treadmill, that my body would give out at some point, and I wouldn't sit all night long staring at my ceiling wishing that my mom was here. And so I went to the gym and I saw some guys doing some things that I had never seen before. And it really blew me away. And one of the guys watching saw me watching and came over and asked me if I wanted to join them. And so I did. And then they told me about Venice Beach every Sunday. And so I went on Sunday and I felt happy that day. For the last 6, 7 months after my mom passed, I felt like I was underwater. Like I couldn't breathe. I was dying slowly. And that day at the beach, I felt like I was happy. Where I was there for 5, 6 hours and it went by a flash. I got there and then the sun was down and I was like, how did they go by so quickly? And so I did it every day. I did it every day just to feel good. I quit my job because so I can just to feel good. This is what makes me happy. So I want to feel happy. And so that built into more and more. And then I got pushed into my first competition. A friend of mine signed me up and was like, dude, you're doing good. And we need athletes to actually have enough athletes to complete the competition. So you're in there, dude. You're a part of it. And I won it. And then that sent me to Florida, and that sent me to Russia. And the thing is that even at that point, I was starting to travel. I was still ashamed of who I was and the things that I'd done. So I have tattoos on the sides of my head. I'm covered in tattoos, and so I remember wearing letting my hair grow. Like it doesn't grow on the top anymore, but letting it grow just so that I can cover the tattoos, so that the positive people that are allowing me to be around them won't push me away. They won't say, hey man, we're positive people here, dude. We don't want no gang members or nothing like that around here, you know? And then I was blessed to meet my manager, David, that just by chance we run into each other, we cross paths, but then he explained to me and opened my eyes to the sense that my pain, my mistakes can save someone else from the pain that I carry, that I have looked at. I was in Russia holding a trophy out of 65 countries. And my mom was right. Something great was waiting for me. But something above the greatness of holding a trophy is to be in the position to share my story that might spare someone from carrying the shame that I have carried so many years.
So what's next?
So now I've opened a foundation, the Luera Foundation. I'm going to open 2 facilities. One's going to be an after-school program that I'm naming Z's House. That was my mother's name, Z. So it's going to be named after my mom. And it's going to be an after-school program heavily focused on dyslexia, but it's going to be for any learning disabilities, but also just a learning center for after school for kids that want to come and have a place that will be fun, that is educational based. I'm also going to open a gym that's going to be called Beyond the Bars, the Recreation Center. Because the gym is going to be focused on parolees, for men that are coming out of prison. Because when I stepped out of prison, knowing that I was trying to give my mom the gift of not messing up so quickly, I didn't know where to go. I didn't know what to do with my day. I didn't know how to look for a job or where to go or what to do, but I knew that I didn't want to get in trouble. And I know that in prison, I worked out every day, and that helped me. Like I stayed, it helped me mentally and to burn off energy. So I figured that now if I open a gym that is focused for parolees, they'll have a place that they can, at the small side of understanding that I can go be physical. I can go work out at this place, right? I did that in prison all the time. That's simple. I know how to work out. I can go there and work out. But once we get them in there, then we can provide wraparound services for them, like 12-step programs, AA, NA, parenting classes, resume building, ways to get back into their children's lives, and just help them, support them to get back on their feet. Because I know the journey of standing back up after falling down on your face in prison it's a hard one.
I heard something about a podcast. What's going on with that?
My podcast is going to be being launched very soon. Really looking forward to that, and to just be in the position to have conversations like this one with amazing people like the two of you.
You're amazing. Kathi, I know you have some questions for him.
Well, Chris, I first just have to honor and acknowledge your heart and your vulnerability. It's just been an honor to cross paths with you and David and have this conversation today. You've touched me. You continue to touch my heart, and I'm just jealous that Denise has Kleenex in her arm's reach, and I don't. I'm Xerox paper, but I'm just going to make a declaration that it just reminded me that I needed to reach out to the man that was in my home, and as I did before when I was at his hearing, multiple hearings, but at his sentencing hearing and spoke, I need to reach out to him and let him know that I don't know where I don't know exactly what I'm going to say yet, but it's percolating. So thank you for that continued gift of healing for myself. I appreciate it. One of the things, getting back to the question, I've just been so moved by this conversation that I lost my train of thought, and I apologize. But I know there were turning points in your life. I also know that based off of my own experiences and my mission of awareness and education and positive impact through prevention, that you were on a journey and you were exposed a glimpse and a perspective to your life as a gang member, as somebody that was using drugs, including meth, and my path of learning of the secondary impacts to meth and what that can bring to an environment. I was wondering if you could maybe speak a little bit about that, about drug use, as superficial as this all seems at the moment, but drug use in a property. You're in Southern California. I'm assuming a lot of it was in that area. Just your perspective of what you saw, and did you feel like there were secondary impacts in the environment and how there may be contaminations and things like that? And did it affect people?
Yeah, well, Kathi, I'm very, very happy that we've crossed paths, and to meet you and to understand your mission is amazing. And I salute you to take on the mission that you have. I think that is crucial to our society's development for this knowledge to be out there. And the laws that you are fighting to change is very, very, very important. That I honestly am lost and baffled in the sense that these laws are not written in the way that they should be and what you're fighting for them to be. And as a recovering meth addict, I know firsthand how bad of an epidemic meth is and how bad it is destroying families, lives, society, and everything around it. And to meet you and to know your story has opened my eyes to even how big the ripple effect is of drugs. I've being a drug addict and everything, I understood. I watched how my life went down. I watched the lives around me of the people that were using drugs with me, and how that went down, and how their families and everyone treated around it. Meth is so bad. It is so bad. And the chemicals, they don't go away. They don't, and so the idea that there is no laws that protect homeowners or landlords or people like that, they don't have to disclose if there's something that has been done in the house. It's baffling to me. Understanding that they will throw the book at you. They will throw the book at you if you are in possession of meth, using meth, selling meth. And then for the same substance to be in a category or in a scenario of all over the house, all over the walls and the carpet of a house, and for them to take this kind of stance or of idea on it, it makes absolutely no sense. It makes absolutely no sense. And that's why I'm very grateful to meet you and to understand that you are on this mission.
I appreciate that, and I to you, and I appreciate your perspective on that. And the mission is huge. There's no doubt about that, and it's something I can, I'm asking for help on that. So thank you for being here to bring that perspective. Is there any, based off of that foundation, is there any advice you can give to people that are out there in a preventative perspective, potentially, before impact?
Hey, listen. There's more knowledge, like there's people like yourself that are coming up, right? Where there's more knowledge coming out, more data that can be shared, right? There's more things, and a lot of people aren't listening. A lot of people don't listen until it affects them.
Right.
When there's people that are talking about, hey, this can affect you. This is affecting families throughout communities, and it's growing at a rapid rate, right? Like we can look at the data and say what we've been looking at 10 years ago and what we're looking at now, and how much that meth is being found in every community. There's so many people that have an idea that, oh, that's very unfortunate that there's meth in that community, but I'm glad that it's not in my community. But it is in their community.
Yeah.
And so it doesn't take much to listen, to hear it. I think that if people can participate, donate, and help to fight this, then I think that would be amazing. But I think that step one that people can do to help your cause is to listen and understand that this is real. As much as you don't want to believe and think that meth is not in your community, it is. And the stronger that you think that it's not, is the more that they're doing a better job of it, having it in there, with you believing that it's not, because it is.
That's one of the pivotal pieces that I learned. I was in a little bedroom community, and my home was just a couple of driveways up from the parking lot that housed the local library, as well as our local sheriff's substation. You could see the vehicles from the sheriff's office from my driveway through the trees. That's how close we were. There are no socioeconomic or geographical boundaries. And part of the piece of prevention that we did hear from some previous experts that we've had on this show is you just want to avoid it any way you can. And as much as many people don't want to write one more inspection check, we have learned over and over again, people who never thought a particular home that looked adorable, or maybe not, maybe it was just a transitional property, but you test for meth and then it came up hot. So you just, at least ahead of a real estate transaction, is to test, write the check, and it could save you a lot of heartache. So thank you for that, Chris. I really do appreciate that perspective and that advice.
Chris, any final words that you want to add to this?
Thank you so much for allowing me to be here. It's been an honor, and I stand with the two of you to fight the fight that you're taking on. It's doesn't seem to be easy, but it's very crucial to all of us.
Appreciate that. Hey, Chris, on a lighter note, I have one more piece of info. You're a celebrity in your own right, to a certain extent, from what I learned over time, for the time that we spent together recently in some training on Instagram. Can you share a little bit about that, and how do people find you?
Yes, so Tatted Strength on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, all social media platforms, YouTube. I go by Tatted Strength. The reason why I have Tatted Strength as my name is that when my mom passed away, I fell into a very bad depression, and out of that depression rose my athletic career, where I became very strong. And I figured, just like my tattoos, my strength is tattooed. I will be strong forever. Any obstacle is overcomable. That's the meaning of Tatted Strength. And so actually, I was really lucky. I don't know how, I started my Instagram, and I, not that I'm promoting this, be careful out there. Do not do anything of it. I like to push the envelope. I am a adrenaline junkie. I've been a junkie. I've been an addict all my life. So I've replaced the meth with the adrenaline. But doing ridiculous things like handstanding on the top of the Disneyland parking lot, or things like that, kind of resonated with a lot of thrill seekers, and my following kind of took off pretty well.
That's awesome. And
That's a little crazy.
I have to find that one. I'm still learning Instagram and need to figure that out, that platform out better. My old lady is showing up.
I just added it to our Facebook Live, so people look in the comments. You'll find it, and if you're finding this on YouTube, you will find them. Trust me.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you, Denise.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
I think if I remember, Chris, did you say you have like 136,000 followers?
126.
126. Okay, I embellished just a little bit. That's awesome, and we look forward to following your journey and your growth and your mission with both of these centers focused on children as well as parolees. It's been just an honor and a delight to meet you. I look forward to sharing the stage with you again in the near future.
So do I.
And bringing you back on, if you'll come back on and
yes, I would love to. I really appreciate being here.
Keep us updated as to what you're up to, and how we can help your cause, you and David. So thank you so much. Thanks for being here.
Thank you.
Yeah, and Chris, I have to say thank you as well. And for those of you who are watching, whether you're watching it as a recording or you're with us live, thank you for watching us. And join us every Tuesday for the Toxin Tuesday Talk Show. And if you have been paying attention, we've been putting the pieces of the puzzle together for you. So to help educate you, because Chris said it, the very first step in the process of making any change whatsoever is to listen and to learn. And that's what we're doing here today. So we hope to see you on another Toxin Tuesday Talk Show very soon.